comes to the sport touring segment, things have been getting pretty interesting lately. After focusing on adventure touring for the past 15 years or so, bike makers now appear to be starting to get serious about riders who want to tour, but they also want to blast through the twisties rather than tackle the gravel fire road. Case in point, Honda's new NT1100. At the heart of this puppy is Honda's tried and true 1100cc Africa Twin parallel twin Unican engine, now equipped with throttle-by-wire. Here in Canada, the NT uses Honda's 6-speed dual-clutch transmission, kitted with 2 riding options, drive and sport, along with the third option of shifting manually via the triggers on the left-hand grip. Want more tech? How about 5 riding modes, 3 levels of traction control, cruise control, quartering ABS, the works. All that riding data is now delivered via a color TFT screen, stuffed with both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Under the sport touring moniker, I'd say the new Honda NT1100 feels a little more touring than sport to me, but that's just my first impression. Here's what guest rider, former road racer Dave Grummett had to say after a day in the saddle. Well, Dave, thanks for coming out again to do another road test with us. This is the brand new NT1100 Honda. It's basically a sport touring version of the Africa Twin, which you own.
Yes.
What was your first impression when you saw this?
You know what, it feels a little bit like home. It feels like my Africa Twin.
Yeah.
I can touch both feet on the ground, which is not, I'm a little inseam challenged, so it's not something that I take for granted with the Africa Twin. But you know, the motor, the ergos, again, a little bit of less room between the foot peg and the seat. But other than that, it really felt comfortable, felt at home.
Yep. I just couldn't believe, for me, you mentioned the foot peg to seat, the bars. The first thing, my first impression when I sat on it was just how comfortable and how much room I had.
Yeah, exactly. You know, as you age, you know, I've got one hip that's not production anymore and another one that probably should be taken care of. So the ergos are really, really good. And the seat's super comfy.
Yeah.
You know, again, I think we talked a little bit about the reach to the bars, and it's pretty much perfect.
And you can tell just by getting on it again by the wind protection. Just there's that sort of bulbous fairing where you know you want it. And this, we just discovered the adjustable screen. This is brilliant for protection.
Yeah. And you know, when I first looked at it from the front, I'm thinking, oh, that's wide. My hips aren't going to like the wide tank. But right in this part of the bike, it's really super narrow. You know, again, that having the parallel twin, it keeps the bike super narrow where you want it to be narrow, but you've got the fuel capacity and it's wider. Really, really good wind protection as well.
Let's talk about the engine, because it sounds, from where we were with the camera today, it sounds great. What did you think of the engine?
Well, the engine, again, it's like home. It's just like my Africa Twin, felt very, very similar. Now my Africa Twin has got the clutch. This is the DCT version, so there was a little bit of adaptation, but again, DCT is sort of, it's pretty idiot-proof. It just, get twist and shout, you know, get on it and go.
Yeah.
And you know, played a little bit with the modes, being in the D mode or the sport mode. I'm a sport mode guy myself. I like that. I think if anybody's going to go out and try one, they'll be much happier. If they're coming off a bike that's manual, they'll be much happier in the sport mode. And the thing is, you know, you say about the thumping V-twin, you know it's there, but I don't feel it in the handlebars or the foot pegs. Like I could ride this all day and not come away like with a 4-cylinder tingle. Super smooth.
What did you think of the information on the screen?
Again, it's just like my Africa Twin, super easy to use once you know how to use it. You know, again, you might want to watch a couple YouTube videos to figure out how to, you know, change the traction control or, you know, any of the modes and stuff like that it has. It doesn't seem to have the flexibility and adjustment that an Africa Twin has. It's got a little bit more adjustment, but you know, with the DCT, it's just so easy to ride.
Yep. I see there's a couple of outlets here for your vest and your phone, if that's what you need.
Yep.
All the adjustability, all the programmability that you expect on a bike like this. Who is this designed for?
Well, you know, I think, you know, you sort of mentioned that maybe sport bike guys that are aging out of the ergos of a sport bike, they don't want to buy maybe a Goldwing yet. You know, this is a good good stepping stone as you age out of sport bikes, and you don't maybe want to ride off-road. You know, that's, with my Africa Twin, I do a fair, probably 50-50 on-road, off-road. But if you're not going to go that adventure route, this is a perfect stepping stone out of sport bikes.
Yeah.
And it's got way more suspension than a cruiser. Like, you know, we tested the Rebel, I don't know, maybe it was 2 years ago. It's got way more suspension and a lot more comfy ergos than a Rebel. Same similar power plant, same similar, you know, feel, but just a more comfortable package.
Yeah.
But you know, with it's got cruise control, super easy to use. It's got Apple CarPlay. I think there's an Android function on it too. You know, I love it from the standpoint of, you know, hooking up my phone and to get out here into the county. You know, the twists and turns and you get all backwards. The CarPlay keeps you, you know, you can Google Map where you need to go. So it's fantastic.
What's your one lasting impression?
You know, I wouldn't trade my Africa Twin in on it, but you know, it's a really cool bike, like to do some miles. You know, I have a friend that's gonna hit the senior level too, and he's having a party in Cape Breton in the summer.
Yeah.
Man, this would be a pretty sweet bike to do that kind of trip for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking of visiting the kid down in Halifax.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's going to be really good for the long haul.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice job, Dave. Thanks for joining us again today.
All right, awesome.